approach today as a father. And I wanted to be able to say to this congregation, I'm not going to be up long. Let me say this thing. I am so grateful, and I want you to make sure you give her a hand to Dr. Yolanda Adams for the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's there? What you do? Huh? Oh, you got a better table? Oh, look at Father's Day treatment you get around here. You get a better table, right? Okay. Water's right here. Where is it? Right there? Okay. All right. Because sometimes they replace things. All right. I don't know if I'm on. I'm working on not drinking out of these plastic things. Did y'all hear about that? No, don't worry about it. I go down a lot of rabbit holes sometimes. But no, thank God for Dr. Yolanda Adams for doing 2 straight weeks and for taking the time out of her busy schedule to do that, because she's always somewhere doing something. And if I ask her, she'll say yes. And there were people that say, well, is Pastor all right? I said, just because I'm not here don't always mean that, I'm falling out. I might be, but it doesn't always mean that I am. But I just, I needed to rest my brain. I needed to rest my body. I needed to, I don't do those things as I used to do. I'm learning how to take a little bit more time and realize I ain't got to do everything all the time. So I thank her for doing what she did. Also, I had thought about something, and I'm gonna tell you this before I get into what I'm just gonna gloss over today. I had a deck of cards, some red soda, pizza, and I was wondering if anybody wanted to play some spades or whist or anything after service and have pizza. Well, then you should have thought of it. At this age and where I am right now in ministry, I can't think of everything. If you all want to do stuff like it, would have been fun too. You could have just sat at that table and could have had your had your bid whist or spades tournament. Could have had a ball. We could have turned the pizza machine on, talked to the place. They would have turned the pizza machine on. There's a pizza oven back there, by the way. And they would have turned it on and everything, and would have had hot pizza coming out. You ain't got to order it, all that kind of stuff. The place got chicken fryers back there. They can drop them hot wings in there. And so you have a place. There's a place. When I say you have a place, the place, this is Abundant Life Center, ALC at the place. There was a reason we're here. The reason we did it, because I want you all to, it's about 3 things. And this takes me into this aspect of ministry. It is about communication, communion, and community. Communication, communion, and community. Here, come take this thing back. They'll tell me what time it is. People are telling me Happy Father's Day, and I don't know how to turn this ringer off. And everybody keeps texting me Happy Father's Day early in the morning. I said, well, I'm not going to read it. I'm in church where you should be. But I totally understand. Communication, communion, and community. Those 3 things. And one of the reason they're so important is because of something that I deeply believe in. And that is, and most of us here, if you've been here any length of time, I believe in abundant living. You don't? I believe not only in the abundant life, that's why it's named this, but I believe in living abundantly, living more abundantly in every aspect of our lives. Don't ever forget that. I'm going to talk to you today as a father would talk, not to a child or anything, but if you were to ask a father, you know, what's important? What's important in our everyday lives, in our everyday living? Look at the world around you and tell me, as a father, what's important. And you would be surprised. Most people, if not 98 to 99, about 98% of them, will sit down and talk with me and never ask that question. What's going on in our world? Why is this important? Most people, when they talk to me, think they're in a counseling session. And so I try to help them to understand that they're talking to me. If you want to do a counseling session, just go on and pay the $150 to whoever you're going to go talk to. But you can't sit out, don't talk to me free and expect me to counsel you, because all I'm going to do is tell you what I say to folk on Sunday morning and things of that sort. And please understand, some of the things I say today, I'm not being very, very serious. I'm just being a little me today because I haven't been in the pulpit the last couple of weeks. So if you're waiting on this great gigantic revelation, forget it. Ain't gonna be there. Y'all quit taking me so serious anyway all the time. By the way, while I'm up here, y'all quit taking me so serious all the time, because then when I finally tell a joke, y'all sit there like, huh? What? And, or maybe it just ain't funny. If it ain't funny, then it's just not funny. I understand. But when I sit down and talk to people, they never ask those important questions to me. What's going on in the world? How do you make it financially, relationship-wise? In the kind of world that we're living in, where there's so many concepts and ideas that are flooding our ears. How do we live in a world or a country that's so divided? Schisms, theology, and how do we know who's real and who's not real? How do we know who's for us or who's against us? How do we live in this kind of world? How do we find love in this kind of world? Yeah. Anybody who was married 45 years, you make sure you ask that father, how do you find love? How do you maintain love? How do you maintain interest when you almost know everything about each other? Almost. When you start moving towards certain areas of your life, the summer or the fall of your life or the winter of your life, what should your life look like? Why do I still seem to be catching hell after I've been praying to God all these years, and still I'm dealing with this and that and that and this? And then you say, well, maybe it's the church I'm in, and so you'll go to 3 or 4 different churches. And I used to kind of, why people do that? But I'm at the point now, if that's what they want to do, let them go home. I said, they'll find out sooner or later. And then I see them 10, 12 years later, and nothing's changed. As a matter of fact, I'll ask them little questions, and spiritually and livingly, there's a little bit of hopelessness, not hopelessness, but a little despair and desperation. And I hear it in their voices, and they want an answer from me. And the funny part about it, I'm not being mean, but I can't give you an answer, because the answers come from how we live every day, how the changes in our lives take place, and what we understand to be true. I look back at life and I realize now what the Christ life is, what the life in Jesus really is. How can I live like, what did the Apostle Paul said? He said in Philippians, I think around the 4th chapter, he says, I've learned to be abased, to be down. I've learned to abound, to be up. And I've learned that whatsoever state I am in, therein to be content. For I've learned, which means I've been to school. That's what the Greek means. I've been to school. And I've learned this about living. And I look back now and don't think that I've achieved, as the Apostle Paul said, achieved perfection or found everything and the secrets to living. There's a secret to living. I'm going to tell it to you before. There's some secrets to living, and that's what I hope comes out of this little talk. But I realize that people, you have to ask the right question if you want to get the right answer. If you ask me about how do you make more money, or how do you do this, or how do you do that, I'm liable to tell you, we'll go find you a financial manager or something of that sort, which is great wisdom. But in the world that we're in right now, you can live this life because of Christ and who he is within. You can live a full and abundant life. And no matter how many ups and downs and peaks and valleys come along, you can still live every day knowing, it might be a little tough today, but it ain't gonna last forever. There's some good stuff coming. Say it with me. There's some good stuff coming. Now, I know that's not proper English, proper grammar. Some people sent me letters claiming I sent them a note, and they said that I didn't write it because I said, be careful out there in them there streets. And he said, Dr. Ed ain't wrote that. Yeah, Dr. Ed did write that. I said, because them streets I'm out there is them there streets. Because there's crazy stuff going on out there. So you got to watch yourself. We have aspirations. We have dreams. All of us, no matter who we are, no matter what the age is in our lives. We have things that we want to accomplish, things that we want to do. There are people who want to, and like I said, of all ages, who want to build something from scratch, business or whatever from scratch. There are people who are trying to find the right relationship. And there are people whose relationships they're trying to find don't sit well with other folk or other Christians or other church folk. They don't understand why they are this way. And it's a lot of things that are happening out in our world. And people are very upset about a lot of stuff. We're in this world where politically, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? I mean, I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. You say, well, are you independent? No, I'm not independent. I connect with all people. This thing is not about Republican, Democrat. It's not about conservative, progressive. It's about, right now, we're at about right and wrong. It's not about white and black. It's about whether it's going to rain or it's not going to rain. This country has to make a change. And you have to look at things the way they are. So with all this kind of information coming at us, money, sexuality, gender, going to school. You don't have to go to a 2-year master's degree. You can get a 1-year master. What's happening in education, states that are cutting the ability to teach black history. You all have no idea what's happening out there in that world right now. Your children, as it is right now in many states, unless it changes, are growing up and will never be taught anything about black history. And there are some black people or people of color, and I don't want to get too deep in that, because I understand something, that everybody with white skin is not white, everybody with black skin is not white, everybody with black skin is not black, everybody with white skin is not black. It's all mixed up in there. I can talk a lot about it, but where we are right now is, with all this information coming in, we need a point of stability. This is who Christ is. This is Christ. This is what our faith is about here now. It is about stabilizing who and what we are, so we can get through and we can watch our children grow up and get through. You following what I'm saying? People say, well, I go along with the states or the schools and that we don't teach about enslavement. I'm tired of hearing about all that anyway. And this is church folk talking. I'm tired of hearing about. I said, well, where'd you get that from? Where did you get it from? Well, I go to a church where they just teach Jesus. They don't teach those kind of things. And I know this is Juneteenth weekend, so, I learned something about Juneteenth. I'm from Ohio. I didn't know what Juneteenth was when I got here. So when I got down here, at first I thought it was the silliest thing I'd ever heard. Until I finally went on to school and I learned there's one thing. Ain't nobody free until everybody free. And I'm not the one who said that. I'm quoting somebody else. Nobody's free until everybody's free. And that's not just about black people. That's also about people with white skin. Nobody's free until everybody is free. And you have to be able to be free to talk about it. And you say, well, it makes, I think they just had a state this past week. 2 young people in high school said, we were hearing about black history and about enslavement and Juneteenth, and it made us feel uncomfortable. And they sent an email to somebody on the school board that they felt they could talk to, and they pulled the class out of the schoolroom. All these other black students and white students were in that class. But because 2 says we feel uncomfortable, they pulled it. How fair is that? It's not fair. But if you have people that don't talk up, and when they went back in the history of it, they found out these two kids were family members of someone who was with this other organization that's trying to change all of these rules and regulations all over the country. If the history of enslavement, black people, can be erased for one generation, you can forget it, because it will take 50 years. You say, well, I ain't gonna be around here. Dumb. Your children will be here. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will be here. Think about this. There will come the time when they will tell somebody, oh, I don't vote because I don't think, it doesn't matter, your vote don't count. And that other person will say, you're absolutely right, it doesn't, because it really won't. This will be decided beginning in 2024. Rulings on affirmative action are about to come down in about a week. You know what affirmative action is? The majority of the people who get benefits from affirmative action are white women, because their men know how to set their corporations up because of them being a minority. They wrote it that way. But it also means that many of our young children and grandchildren will no longer get that little push. You say, well, they don't need it. They can pull themselves up by their own. No, sometimes you need to push. See, it's one thing getting in school, but it's another thing staying in school. All right? That means they won't get that push. When they don't get that push, or it's going to bleed over. You say, well, so what? Schools, then affirmative action, it will bleed over because of the way the law, into corporations. It will bleed over into your raises. It will bleed over into your promotions. They will say, well, we don't promote by race. I don't care about nobody promoting by race. What we're saying is, don't overlook us. Don't overlook me. That's what you're saying to corporation. I'm not saying put me somewhere because I'm black. No. Don't push me back because you're going to push your nephew ahead of me. These are the things, and I'm just glossing over many of these things. So when people tell you, well, we don't, that's why in church we don't teach black history, we just teach Jesus. You can't use that anymore. And people, you got to begin to stand your ground. Everybody else standing their ground. You got to begin to stand your ground and ask the tough questions. Are you going to tell me where I can go to church? No, I'm going to tell you what you're going to get when you go to the wrong church. Now, you go wherever you want to. You can sit up in a lot of stuff you want to. There's a difference from going to a place that will help you to know and a place that will just get you to believe. Two different things. A church that's asking you, let me teach you and lay some others so that you can know. The Apostle Paul said, I know in whom I have believed. Or a place where you just believe. And they're just trying to get you to believe. And you don't have the real foundation of the word belief and faith. Thank God for you, ALC. I have tried my best over the years, Sandra and I, not to be people who are manipulative. Some things might come, who knows? I'm a human being. But I think more than anything, to just be human and realize that I'm going to make these mistakes. and we're not going to be perfect. And we tried it. We tried trying to be perfect. We tried competing with the mega predominantly white churches so that we could say to our people, look, you can have your own. Until we finally learned that they weren't looking for their own. They find value in where they went only because of where they went, not because of what they got when they got there. I said, Lord, what in the world do I do now? Yeah, I must have really went over my time. What my time is? Huh? What time is it? Oh, yeah, I'm over my time. I've said, Lord, what can I do? And that is to begin to really teach some of our basic foundations. Something you have never heard before. But they're right there in that Bible staring you in the face. Father's Day was a little tough for me. I miss certain people in my life. I got my boys and I love them. I just love them. But I also miss my girls. And some of you don't know, my daughter passed away at 14. And Sister Sandra's gone on to be with the Lord. And you miss folk. You just miss folk. And it hurts deep down in here. But you got to put your feet over that bed and you got to stand up. If you can't stand up, get in the wheelchair, wherever you got to do. You got to get up out of that bed. And you got to say, Lord, you got to get me through this day. And I declare that you will walk with me and I will walk with you, and we will do great things on this planet today. This is what you got to do. You got to be careful of the toxic people that are around you. You've got to watch what you give your time to and how long you give your time to it, because I've learned now that with the wisdom that I'm carrying now, I never paid that much attention to it. That I can't sit and talk to folk 2 and 3 hours, mumble jumbling while they just rattling off their problems. I can't do it anymore. That there is value to it. I mean, and you say, well, how much does it cost? You couldn't pay it. You don't have that kind of money. And so we learn just to get up and get out there and do what we got. Now, you're going to stumble and you're going to fall. Some of you run for campaigning, wanting to be mayor, wanting to be president, wanting to be vice president. All these things are going on. And I was laughing at the people that are running for president on the other side of the fence. And I was cracking up laughing. And I was talking to some of people who are, of same color as I am. And they were trying to figure out which one of the Republican candidates they were going to vote for. I said, you're silly. What do you mean? Oh, you're one of them preachers. I said, you're silly. I said, and I'm going to tell you why. It was a good friend, I said, I'm going to tell you why you're silly. Why would you vote for any of those candidates? Anybody that can't stand up to Donald Trump can't stand up to Vladimir Putin. If you can't tell Donald Trump, sit down, then you certainly can't tell Vladimir Putin, put those missiles away, or our missiles will come out. You don't vote for them because you think, I like their policy. What policy? We need somebody who's going to stand flat-footed and say, like Elijah told the head of that nation, Ahab, it ain't going to rain until I say so. And if nobody votes for you, then give your own self a hand clap, because at least you did what you believe to be right. You are living in a country, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about Donald Trump. Don't worry about the Republicans. Don't worry about all those folks in Congress and all the Greg Abbotts. Don't worry about those people. You need to be careful and keep an eye on the folks who are clapping for them. Why is your friend clapping for them? Why are the people on your job clapping for them? Why are they at their rallies? Well, I was just curious. Why are you clapping? Because 1/3 of America still wants to rule 2/3 of America. Now, and I know it. It's called, part of it's called the lost cause. The other part of it is because the teaching, the generation. Listen, ALC is 40 years old. Do you realize there's been 2 generations that have been in this church? 2 generations. All it takes is one of those generations to not know the truth about where they come from. And when you don't know where you come from, you will not know who you are. And when you don't know who you are, you cannot make the proper decisions for your family, for your money, for your future, for the people around you. You cannot. You must first know who you are. Now, that's what Christ is to me. What? I used to get up on Wednesday, and I'd be done now. I used to get up not Wednesday, but I used to get up in Cleveland, Ohio in the wintertime and get out there and say, and my car wouldn't start. Anybody from the north in the wintertime know what it is when that battery starts saying, vroom, vroom, vroom. I go on back in the house, cold and gloves, and gonna get, and I said, Daddy, grandfather, I said, Daddy, call him Daddy. Car won't start. I said, he said, come on. He'd go get in his car, he'd open up the trunk, and he'd pull out a pair of jumper cables. And he'd start, turn the key on his car. Boom, 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 boom. I said, why his car start, mine don't start? I said, Daddy, why your car start? He said, no, we'll talk about that later. It's how they care for things, how they took care for it, how he let it run at night before he got out. Me, I just want to throw it and turn it off, They let it run. There's little things they did. And so he took his jumper cables, put his jumper cables on the back, put it on my car. And I said, go. So he said, don't turn that key on yet. Just let it sit a minute. Let it sit a minute. After a while, he said, okay, now go try it. Turn the thing, start right off. He said, where you going? I'm just going. He said, where you going? I said, I'm going somewhere. He said, drive the car around for a while and for about 5 or 10 minutes and then go where you're going. I said, okay. In other words, to charge up the battery, And so he said, you got any cables in your car? I said, no. He looked at me, went in the house, got another pair of his old cables, got the cables, he said, and those cables were thick cables, long cords and everything. He says, never go anywhere without jumper cables. There's going to come a time you're going to need a jump. The Christ life is about image. And there will come times, if you don't study, if you don't know your history, if you don't know where you come from, if you don't read, if you don't ponder, if you don't meditate, if you don't pray, you're going to lose the concept of your image. And when your image is low, and it can be today, or your image is low, you won't start. Your money will be funny. Your relationship will be funky as heck. All of these different things will be happening because you don't know who you are today. What is ALC? Are we a church that just bump and jump? You don't. Bumping and jumping makes you feel better for the bump and jump duration. But after that, that's it. Well, I'm going over there because they got a, man, that's fine. A whole lot of other things are fine. Well, I'm going over there because, well, I just really go for the music. If you only go into a particular church or ministry for the music, yeah, something wrong with you. Because that ain't enough to get you through. It ain't enough to get you through. And if you're looking for a Jesus that the preacher merely tells you he's in the sky and we need to pray, and so when praises go up, blessings will come down. When you need to run out of that church before after. If they say that to you, that's wonderful. We know what it means. Sometimes I might say it is fun to say, but it's not real. When praise go up, blessings come down. No, the blessings are already down. The praise manifests in your life. You have to be in a church that teaches you how to manifest things, how to bring stuff forth from yourself, how to cause you to look in somebody's eye. When they look at you, you look at them. You have to be in a position where your image is strong. You say, but what happens when it ain't there? That's what ALC is. What is ALC? We jumper cords. That's what. That's all we are. What we will help you do is when your battery and your image ain't functioning the way it should. Instead of going to somebody's church that's going to take you 5 years before you know who you are, we're going to jump you just like that. Hey, this is Dr. Ed. We've been on this journey for over 40 years. Some have been there with us for almost 40. Some have just started this journey with us. But what we've been able to do is help people to find joy, peace, enlightenment. They have grown tremendously, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and it's all because of your contributions, your help, our journey on this road. Take a moment, make a contribution at myalc.org. That's myalc.org. That's our website. That's our main place where you're even able to watch our show on Sunday mornings. Not only that, but you can also give through our app. And you can download that app from Google Play, or you can download it from the App Store by just typing in Abundant Life Center, or you can type in Ed Montgomery and the Abundant Life Center app will pop up and you can download it. It only takes a few moments, and you can have that way. You can carry it with you on your phone and your iPads and all those kind of good things. Not only that, but you can also do text to give. That's very popular because people are able to give if they forget to be on their website or their app. They can just give right on the spot, real fast, real quick. Sometimes they do text to give even when we're inside of a church service. And you can do that by texting to 713-742-2035. That's 713-742-2035. Or you could give through our P.O. Box. Safe, sound, secure. You can give, you can make sure you put a stamp on the envelope, but you can, write us a little note, drop me a little note, whatever you want to do, and mail it. There are some folks that's just, hey, I'm just going to mail this. And you can mail your contribution, and that's to the Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas 77215. I'm going to say it again. That's that old radio thing. You got to say it twice. Abundant Life Center, P.O. Box 772-300, Houston, Texas 77215. Continue on this journey with us. And if you're new for the first time, start this journey with us. I promise you, not only will it change your life, but you'll change the life of so many around you. And that'll make you feel real good inside.